We are here in South Dakota as part of our Western States Summer 2026 travel. We decided to stop doing camping and overlanding so that we could do a little bit of trail riding. So Camp 5 Trail, it's a Badge of Honor trail on the Jeep Badge of Honor program.
Yep.
And we researched it through Trails Offroad, which is what we use for all of our trails. It is a 5 to 6 rated trail. And what do you think we're going to expect?
Well, I mean, just from going through the waypoints on Trails Offroad, it looks like there's 2 spots of most concern. I did read one of the reviews of someone who had a Gladiator, though, and they said that there was a spot around waypoint 9 that he struggled with a little bit.
Yeah, so Gladiator problems. Whenever you're in tight, kind of foresty terrain and the trails are tight, I think sometimes Gladiators get a little frisky on you.
Yeah.
So, that's okay.
And then with the longer wheelbase and the rock gardens and the boulders, tire placement's really important.
Tire placement's important, and having a good spotter that understands the Gladiator track, right? Like, which is the best line to take a longer wheelbase on. Now, we're taking this with my Jeep Gladiator. It is a 4.5-inch metal cloak lift, and I am on Patagonia Milestar 38-inch, or Milestar Patagonia 38s. We're kind of up in the air. We got some pretty decent rubber underneath us. The Milestars have been great for me in Moab and in Big Bear, everywhere I've taken them so far. So I have no less expectations that they're going to be pretty awesome on this trail.
Didn't you kind of pick those 2 because of their sidewall rating?
So yeah, they're the Milestars are a D-rated sidewall. Their original Patagonias were a C-rated sidewall, and some people had some problems ripping sidewalls on rocks. So they changed it up. They came out with a D-rated sidewall. For me, I actually mostly picked them because I go through tires a lot. I do a lot of road miles. Yeah. And
how many miles have we done already on this trip?
We're at 3,700 miles already on this trip, and towing a trailer for most of it. So, where I'm at, looking at $650 per tire from some of the other big tire brands versus, I want to say these were about $350, $360 a tire. They don't have to last as long tread life to make up for that cost, but so far they have actually, and they've done a great job. So I've got a great spotter here that's going to put me through all the right lines, and we're excited. So Stay tuned for the trail.
Let's go hit the trail.
Let's go do it.
Officially known as Trail 8049, Camp 5 winds through South Dakota's Black Hills between Deadwood and Sturgis. At waypoint 2, we reached the split for Hal John's, an extreme rock crawling trail running alongside Camp 5. We were wheeling solo, towing our overland trailer, and only halfway through our summer adventure. We still had thousands of miles ahead of us, so this was not the day to test how much we could break. At waypoint 3, Camp 5 crosses Hal John's for the first time. The route continues across the creek bed and up a short stair-step ledge, our first real taste of the rocks ahead. Waypoint 4 is a reminder that the guide shows what may be here, not necessarily what today's conditions look like. At waypoint 5, Hal John's climbs out of the creek and reconnects with Camp 5. The shared route then crosses a short section of private property, so this is one of those places where staying on the legal marked trail really matters. Back on public land, we crossed the creek again as Hal John's separated and continued through the rocks below us. Waypoint 7 runs beside this massive rock wall before crossing Hal John's again. By now we could see how closely the 2 trails were connected, Camp 5 above and around the creek with Hal John's repeatedly cutting through the hardest terrain below. At waypoint 8, we crossed through a field of bowling ball-sized rocks with a few larger boulders mixed in. This is where slow, deliberate tire placement becomes more important than momentum. As we shared before, Trails Offroad is our go-to app for trail maps. Before we enter a new state, we download its Trails Offroad maps so we can still navigate when cell service disappears. The guide lets us preview the trail's distance, difficulty, waypoints, and obstacles, along with permits, seasonal closures, and reviews from people who've driven it recently. That community information matters because trail conditions can change dramatically with weather, erosion, and use. Jeep works with Trails Offroad to make sure its detailed trail guides are available to Jeep owners, including a catalog of the Jeep Badge of Honor trails. We use Trails Offroad to plan and navigate the route, and then the Badge of Honor app to check in and earn the badge. Waypoint 9 is identified as the most challenging mandatory crossing on Camp 5. The guide shows multiple lines. A slightly easier route requiring careful placement to the left, a more stable center line over the larger boulders, and to the right a difficult articulation line through deep holes between granite slabs. We continued through the Rocky Creek bed while Camp 5 continued to parallel Hal John's. Not every waypoint needs to be dramatic. Sometimes it simply confirms that we're still on the intended route, which becomes especially important when multiple trails repeatedly cross one another.
Waypoint 9 and 10 in this whole section is basically full of obstacles.
Fun obstacles.
Yeah, they're fun, but you definitely are going to have to beware through some of this section here.
It was a super dry summer. We did not have any water crossings or any mud on this trail, but one thing I will say is that it was really overgrown. This is a trail where if you do not want to get any pinstriping, I would definitely stay away from this one. We were scraping branches and bushes the whole way. Waypoint 11 brought us back across Hal John's and out of the creek up a rocky uphill climb. The exposed rocks were roughly watermelon size, large enough to require attention, but still manageable with a deliberate line and a little patience.
So what do you think so far?
It's a fun trail. You definitely have to think your way through some things if you're in a long wheelbase vehicle like a JT or really like a Tacoma or something like that. Slightly more complex early on than what I think I expected based off of the reviews. Much more pinstriping. So there's definitely some overgrowth on this trail that you cannot get around and avoid. So just know coming in that if you're doing this trail, you're going to get some pinstriping. You're going to drag some branches across your roof and your sides.
Standing water and mud are common in this section. When they are present, the responsible line is through the established trail, not around it where vehicles can widen and damage the route. By waypoint 14, we were nearing the end, but Camp 5 still had one more moderate challenge waiting for us. This waypoint is Camp 5's second and final major obstacle, a rock garden filled with boulders ranging from beach ball to coffee table size. The guide recommends keeping the tires on the largest rocks to avoid hanging the differential.
And just like that, we're done. All right, so what'd you think of that?
So that was good. I mean, you had to pick a line through it. There's definitely some things that would grab a diff or, your drag link, but but it wasn't that bad. Not for this. I mean, I'm on a 4.5-inch lift with 38s, so I kind of rolled right through it for the most part. I scraped my frame on one of the boulders going over it, just because Gladiator, but other than that, was not exceedingly difficult.
Camp 5 ends at a confusing 5-way intersection. The guide identifies Trail 8045 as the easiest route towards Galena Road, while Hal John's and Calamity Canyon offer much more difficult ways out.
All right, so
We did it.
Camp 5 trail under the belt. Great trail. What'd you think?
It was good. I think the 2 waypoints that they said were going to be the most difficult were definitely the 2 where we had some challenges. Honestly, I think the first one was hardest. Was that waypoint 5?
Yeah, I think the earlier one, and we'll put it in our review on Trails Offroad of the trail itself, which waypoint it was. But there was definitely waypoint 14. I think people had said that it was going to be the hardest one, and I didn't feel that it was the hardest one. It was definitely earlier on in the trail. Things about this trail we weren't expecting.
I think we'll put it in, but around between 9 and 10 or around 10 and 11. It's actually a whole section where we had to navigate around a bunch of obstacles that we weren't planning on. But I think there was another review that we had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So that must be the section he was talking about.
Probably the section he was talking about.
Yeah.
I would say that I got a lot more pinstriping on this trail than what I was expecting. It's a very tight trail. If you are one of those people that you absolutely 100% love the paint job on your Jeep, this isn't the trail for you. I don't mind it. I drag through stuff all the time. I was an East Coast guy before I moved out west, so lots of pinstripes already. But yeah, there was a lot more sticks, and some of them were actual pretty good sticks.
There was a couple that were like, what was that?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
It was pretty good. But overall, I got to tell you, great trail. This was a fun trail.
It was short. How long did it take us?
Hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, something like that. It's about 3.5 miles. We only encountered one other person on the trail. That was a side-by-side that we let go past us in an area that was a little more complex. And overall, I really enjoyed this trail. I love the chance to go off-roading in South Dakota. So if you live in South Dakota, thanks for letting us come and share in your open spaces. April and I really value the open spaces and seeing all the different states we go to. So,
and I mean, if you are thinking about doing this trail again, read through everything on Trails Offroad, figure out what you're getting into. Also, we did have to stop and get a permit.
Yeah, we did have to stop and get a permit. I'm glad you mentioned that. So on the South Dakota side of Black Hills National Forest, if you're going to do any of the trails, whether that's in a side-by-side, ATV, motorcycle, or off-road vehicle like a Jeep or a truck, you do have to get a permit. It's a 1-year permit. So I'm covered for all of 2026 if I come back to South Dakota. And it was $25. And they sell them at a lot of different places. Most of the ATV rental shops sell them. Some of the gas stations sell them. And then there's the Black Hills National Forest Visitor Center that sells them as well.
We got ours at a campground.
We got ours at a campground that does ATV rentals.
I think it was where Custer's Last Stand Cafe was.
Yeah. And you can get it online. If you're planning your trip ahead of time, you can get it online and they'll just mail it to you. So with that, any last words for here?
No, I'm glad we did the trail. We still now, if you are doing the trail, you don't end up on the road. So there's lots of ways out of here.
Yeah, we're about to jump in and use Trails Offroad to figure out what trails we need to take to get back to a road. I think we're going to head back into Deadwood or maybe into Rapid City and do some stuff.
That town looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat place. So with that being said, hey, South Dakota, thank you. Y'all stay cool.
Bye.